My girl hates it even though it helps my depression. But I guess she just wants all the attention.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to talk about Smackdown from January 27th, 2023. So, Nikki Bella and Brie Bella, first they put out a statement claiming that, they were upset that WWE didn't have anything for them and that they weren't featured on the show, Raw 30. Then Nikki Bella does her own little statement about why the Bella twins weren't there, saying that WWE had them doing media for their other shows that they do on WWE, for WWE rather, I should say. So they didn't have anything for them creatively, and plus they were being booked to do other kind of promotional stuff. So the Bella twins weren't going to be there. So then they go on Tamron Hall's show on, I think, Thursday or Friday to once again complain about there not being any women featured on Monday Night Raw in terms of the women's evolution. And I did a short on this already, which means I talked about this already. And my opinion of it does not change. What are we supposed to highlight? What do you want? That's my question. The matches got longer, but the angles are still the same. It's woman A argues with woman B. They have a match. Now, instead of the match being 2 or 3 minutes, the match is 7 or 8 or maybe even 15. But that's about it. There's no crazy segments that involve the girls. When you look at what they were doing with Raw 30, it was all beer trucks and let's have fun with the milk segment. Let's have fun with just like the stuff that people remember from Monday Night Raw, bloodbaths and TLC matches and stuff like that. Women don't do any of that stuff. Not on Monday Night Raw anyway. They've had a couple of really good matches, but the only match really that should be highlighted is the Charlotte Sasha Banks Falls Count Anywhere match where, Sasha strangled Charlotte over the barricade. That was pretty much it. And I believe they did show a scene from that match. So did they really ignore the women's evolution, or is it that the women's evolution was a half measure, that it was really a stillborn birth? Yes, you got more women's wrestling, but it's kind of the same, main event type of crap that we had before. You didn't really make the women's evolution work by actually actively increasing and doing more. Whenever they do something with the women anyway, it's considered to be offensive, and it's hard to say. They show moments like Alexa Bliss shooting a fireball at Randy Orton. That's a woman's moment. They showed like Rhea Ripley, I think, body slamming Doc Gallows. That was a woman's moment. They showed Lita doing a moonsault. They showed Trish Stratus. They showed Chyna. They showed plenty of women's moments. But this is a specific women's only thing. And it's led to the WWE Women Deserves Better hashtag, which, only really happens when WWE kind of short sights the girls. This led Bayley to come out and say, oh, everybody, the company has our back. Don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. This was after the cage match got cut, of course, because she still has faith in good old Triple H. And then SmackDown happens, and the only women's match on the entire show is Lacey Evans versus a jobber. And so now people are tripping about that too. They didn't feature women the entire week, except for NXT, which had 60 or 70% women on the show. I get it, but I don't care. Look, I understand. I understand your frustration, but I'm looking and saying to myself, nobody has yet to be able to bring out a women's moment that was missed on Raw. That was like a huge miss, even when it comes to the women, that no woman being invited to the show. There were plenty of men who weren't invited to the show. Like, I didn't even think about it until the show was over, but there was no John Cena, no Batista, no Stone Cold Steve Austin, no Mick Foley. The Rock didn't show up. There's tons of people who did not appear on Raw 30. So are you surprised that Trish and Lita didn't show up? They didn't even ask Mick Foley to be there. You know, he was doing something else for the company too. Like, Vince didn't even show up. So, you know, sure, we probably could have had short videos from like Stephanie or whoever sending in like a video or a highlight package or whatever. Maybe we could have done more. But I honestly sit here and think, outside of, you know, I can't think of anything that was left out when it comes to the women's evolution. I just don't get it. What are we talking about here? You know, get out of here with this. All right, let's move on to SmackDown. So Sami Zayn appears on the show after Roman Reigns told him not to do. He was sneaking around wearing all black in a hoodie. And he talked to Jey Uso to thank him for Monday. And said he's keeping low. He'll keep a low profile. He just had to show up to thank Jey in person. And if Jey ever needed anything, he's got Sami to call. Which, of course, he already had Sami to call, right? So later, Kevin Owens is cutting a promo about his match tonight. And Kevin Owens starts talking about the reason he took this match with Solo Sikoa tonight is so that he can become champion. That this is just the beginning of him trying to eliminate every member of the bloodline, because 2 years ago, he should have been Universal Champion, but the bloodline kept interrupting. So now he's going to take out Solo, then he's going to take out the Usos. So as he's saying that, the Usos just kind of stroll up on him, you know, like something out of Saints Row or, you know, or Grand Theft Auto. What up, fool? And they get to fighting. Then the Usos are ejected from the show for starting a fight with Kevin Owens, even though, you know, Kevin Owens attacked them, but they were strolling up on them like they were about to pull out the Mac 10 or something like that. Anyway, Jey calls Sami and asked him for a favor. You know, he asked for a favor from his dog. This leads us to the main event, Solo Sikoa, Kevin Owens. Physical match. Solid enough match. I really thought for a moment that they would have Solo lose. I was going to, of course, complain about that because Kevin Owens doesn't need to beat Solo Sikoa, but also you kind of want to tell the story. It's okay, I guess. And if Kevin Owens is going to be a top guy for WWE, then maybe he might be the guy to beat Solo Sikoa. In any event, they have a solid enough match before Sami Zayn saves Solo Sikoa from the senton bomb from the top rope, pulling him outside the ring. Now, even though the referee sees this, he doesn't really admonish Sami Zayn much at all. There's some stuff going on outside the ring. Solo accidentally kicks Sami Zayn, knocks him on the floor. At one point, Kevin Owens powerbombs Solo Sikoa on the announce table, but the announce table didn't even break, which was a surprise to me considering the size of Solo Sikoa. So that was probably a botch, but it also means that the powerbomb was probably safe. At that point, Kevin Owens starts to lose control. Sami Zayn's still on the ground. Kevin Owens is yelling at him. He runs and gets a chair. He attacks Solo with the chair and taunts Sami with the chair. But here's the most important thing. After he waylays Solo a couple of times with the chair, he throws the chair to Sami and then turns his back. And, you know, he's, talking to the fans, yelling at the fans or whatever. But Sami's got the chair. Yes, and Kevin Owens is right there. And Sami never even attempts to hit Kevin Owens in the back with the chair. So it was a very subtle storytelling element there that really some people should have paid attention to. Kevin Owens felt comfortable enough to give Sami Zayn a weapon and then turned his back to him, but instead of doing the old taunt of hit me, he just kind of left it open. Like he threw the chair at Sami and then just kind of was talking to the fans. So if Sami wanted to hit him with the chair, he could have. And then I also like that Sami didn't overplay the hand. Like he didn't pick up the chair and threaten to hit Kevin Owens with it or anything. He just let the chair sit there. So now when they do their next trial, it's going to be, why didn't Sami For starters, why did Sammy show up when Roman Reigns told him not to? 2, why did Sammy not help Solo? 3, why did Sami Zayn not attack Kevin Owens? So this is going to be our nice little story going into the Royal Rumble. All of that coupled with the fact that he wasn't supposed to be there anyway, because Roman Reigns told him not to be there. And then they did a really good job of explaining where Roman was. He was talking to that pencil neck geek Jimmy Fallon about The Rock. So that's where Roman was, smiling on NBC or whatever, talking about The Rock. And The Rock, his conditioning excuse, I believe it because it's true. Bodybuilders, it's a different game than pro wrestling. The Rock is in great shape. He looks amazing. That doesn't mean he's in ring shape. He probably should lose weight if he was going to be in ring shape. He'd probably have to lose some of that mass in order to move a little bit better. But I didn't hinge my excitement for WrestleMania on The Rock being there anyway. But this storyline with Sami Zayn has been fun. Sami Zayn did an interview with Ariel Helwani where he said if it's done right, people will believe him beating Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. But he did admit that he doesn't see himself as the face of WWE. Now, this is an interesting storyline element because Sami is now doing interviews. It's an out of character interview where he's talking about beating Roman Reigns, and if WWE wanted to be petty in terms of story, this would be something Paul Heyman would bring up. Like, did you know that Sami Zayn was talking about beating you in an interview with Ariel Helwani? And, but I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would do that because they would put in a situation where Roman would have to attack Sami Zayn. At that point, he would have to be so paranoid that he would have to take Sami Zayn out. So they probably won't go that far. But to his point, I said during my Royal Rumble predictions, which still exist if you haven't listened to it, that it probably isn't smart for Sami Zayn to win the Royal Rumble and defeat Roman Reigns because it is a believability issue. Now, Sami is correct that if you do the story correctly, if you do the story right, it will be believable. If you build Sami Zayn's victory, much like Mick Foley defeating The Rock, where there's outside interference, maybe the outside interference backfires and Kevin Owens gives a stunner to Roman Reigns and pop-up powerbomb, and then Sami Zayn hits the Aluva kick, and then, maybe after all of that, Roman gets pinned. That's believable. And then you have Sami and Kevin in the ring. They essentially work together to defeat Roman Reigns. It makes sense at that point. It's believable that in a 2-on-1 scenario where, Sami has a friend in his corner, it's believable. But I'm not sure outside of a hardcore circle of people that's an acceptable thing. Like, it's already going to be problematic to come up with a way for Cody to believably beat Roman Reigns because Roman has been bulletproof for 3 years. So how do you? It's probably going to be some outside interference that's going to involve this thing. So the question is how much? Also you have the issue of the Usos and Solo Sikoa, whatever. So maybe, and I've always said that the Roman Reigns story it began with him and Jay. It should end with him and Jay. That perhaps during the story, and this could make sense, that, Jay, who is known to, be loyal to his frenemies in some ways, like with the Usos, with their work with the New Day, maybe Jay and Jimmy refuse to get involved in the altercation between Sami and Roman. And they decide, we're going to let you guys figure it out on your own. The Usos are not going to be involved with this. But of course, Solo is going to be there and he's going to have Roman's side. But then you have Kevin Owens for Solo, and that way you could even the odds a little bit and sort of fracture the bloodline a little bit. That could be one way of doing it, but you're talking about very delicate surgery of having Sami Zayn win the title from Roman in a way that wouldn't piss all over what Roman is doing, and still have Sami Zayn be believable in the role, and that he just wouldn't lose the title first 2 title defenses. If Sami Zayn were to win the title, let's say, let's just throw that, that canard out there, because this is going to come out. This is going to be my last statement before the Royal Rumble. Let's say this happens. Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble, and he's going to go on to win the title. Who is going to be his first opponent? It's going to be some mid-carder, Baron Corbin or something like that. Now, typically that's how WWE does things. They give you a title, and then your first opponent is some real mid-level guy. And then you immediately get overshadowed by everything else that's going on. So Sami Zayn defeats Roman Reigns, wins the title, confetti, fireworks, the whole 9 yards. We have another Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit moment where Kevin and Sami are in the ring together and they're best friends and they're holding up the titles and everybody's so happy. Then we immediately have to figure out what's next, right? We've ended the Honorary Uce storyline. We've ended the Bloodline and Sami Zayn storyline. Immediately have to think about what's next, okay? At that point, Roman's story continues and he's still going to be the star of the show. At that point, we're going to look at maybe Roman goes on a vacation for a while. He goes on sabbatical because, that's what he does. And and then we're left with the Usos. So now the Usos, what are they going to do? Are they going to fight Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, or what are we going to do there? What about Solo Sikoa? Maybe Solo Sikoa is the first opponent for Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn has to actually give Solo Sikoa his first defeat. You got some good storytelling with that, but do people really buy it? Again, is that really a top level main event money drawing thing? Or are you going to, soon as Sami Zayn wins the title, everybody's blown their gasket, they've had their nut, the climax has occurred, now everybody's landing in the wet spot, wondering, okay, is it okay to go to sleep now? So, I mean, look, Roman needs to lose the belt. I can tell you that much. The show needs that shakeup. But Sami Zayn, I know it's a good story. It is a great story. But I really question, what do you do next after that? Because Roman's not doing a series of matches with, the next guy. He's probably going to pull a Triple H. He's going to lose the belt, disappear for a while, and then probably pop back up, shortly thereafter, maybe at SummerSlam or, whatever big Saudi show. No, well, that can't be Saudi because it'd be Sami if he won the title. It couldn't be a Saudi show. SummerSlam or something like that. So it's something to consider, but I personally wouldn't do it. I wouldn't run the risk of it. But then again, I'm campaigning for Cody, and the storyline, because they showed the Cody Rhodes return video here. To me, it's a very strong story with Cody. It is not just about his relationship to the Roman. It's about a relationship to the title, a relationship to the company, a relationship to a legacy that he has to live up to. He is similar to Roman Reigns, similar enough, you should say. Even when it comes to the music choice for the Cody vignettes, where the lyrics are kind of like Born to Do This, where you kind of get this whole Child of Destiny thing from Cody, and then you get the from undesirable to undeniable thing with Cody, and he's a more believable opponent than Sami, but he's not more over than Sami, and Cody's super over. But I think Sami Zayn, when he's talked about with Ariel Helwani, it was very realistic for him because he didn't want to, put himself on that level, the level of Daniel Bryan, where the whole course of WrestleMania needs to change because he got over with the Honorary Uce story. He seems to be more grounded in understanding that people would be okay with him losing, you know, because he's not on that level. But I think people are starting to see that he should be. And that will be a problem in the future, you know. But he doesn't see Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn the same as Daniel Bryan, Batista. He doesn't see that. And I don't see it either, at least not yet. I think there's still going to be a lot of people who are going to be super excited at the idea of Cody winning. But to test it, why not put Cody and Sami as the last two? That's what I would do. If you really want to see what direction people want to go in, your last two guys in the ring should be Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. Unless you got some kind of storyline reason for Sami Zayn to get eliminated before the final two, those would be my final two. I know some people will say, why not Cody and Seth Rollins? I would have Cody and Seth start the show. All right? Cody and Seth should start it. And then at some point, Cody eliminates Seth Rollins. Or maybe Seth Rollins has another opponent or whatever that takes him out. I would have Cody and Sami as the final two. And then let people make the decision. Let the audience we already know who's going to win, but let the audience see if they start booing Cody, you know, because if they start booing Cody, then we know where we can go when Cody has the belt. We can do Cody, Sami Zayn, because, you know, now people will feel like Sami Zayn got screwed. Sami Zayn will still be a heel. He'll still be, well, matter of fact, he probably wouldn't be a member of the Bloodline at that point because it probably ends up being in the tag team match against the Usos. So that blew up that idea. I'm just rambling, you know, I'm just going off and saying how these things could fit. But I certainly would do Cody and Sami as the last two in order to test the audience and see how they feel. Sort of a Lex Luger, Bret Hart story. You know, I wouldn't have Sami get eliminated early in a way that would embarrass him. I would have him, you know, maybe come in fourth or something like that. So things would, you know, he could get some sympathy. But I certainly wouldn't have him win it. You know, but the Royal Rumble, it's made for a babyface to win. And Sami Zayn winning would be huge. I can't get over it. Sami Zayn is too small. He has no body as far as his muscle mass and stuff like that. I just don't see it. And Sami knows that too, you know. But maybe he's just being humble and trying to let everybody else not get too excited about it by saying, look, guys, I'm not that huge face of the company star guy. Like, that's not me. Let's, you know, temper that a little bit. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. But I don't know. I think that it's going to be completely different in that building. But I've talked enough about that. I just wanted to make sure I just throw things out there for Royal Rumble. All right, match 1. Rey Mysterio defeats Karrion Kross. The match was actually pretty solid. It was one of Karrion Kross's best outings in WWE so far. I noted that there was a collar and elbow tie-up in this match. There was actually 2 on this show. It might have been more, but I noticed 2. Karrion Kross actually kicked out of Rey Mysterio's finish with the 619 and the splash from the top rope. So that was nice. Karrion Kross had weird stuff on his tights. It said advance, attack, annihilate, which was nice, except for the fact that he lost. So Karrion Kross was trying to do the old Young Bucks multiple Northern Light suplexes, which is pretty dope, you know, as far as a move. But on the second Northern Light suplex, Rey countered it into a crucifix and pinned him. So it was not that Rey dominated and beat him with his finish. It was Rey was crafty and a believable finisher, a sneak win. Kross wasn't really hurt that badly. He jumped right up afterwards, and Rey kind of scurried out of the ring and left the ring for Kross to sort of, you know, stew in. So this was solid. You know, Kross isn't bulletproof. You know, that was established when he lost to Drew McIntyre. Now, Karrion Kross picking this fight and losing, I'm not really a huge fan of that. But the way that it happened is believable. You know, Rey is a smaller guy, but he's Rey Mysterio. You know, Rey Mysterio's entire career is he finds a way. If there's a will, there's a way. You know, you never give up. You try to figure it out. And, you know, landing a crucifix where Karrion Kross thinks that he has the advantage makes sense. I'm guessing there's going to be a rematch in which Cross is going to win. I also expect Cross and probably Dominic to eliminate Ray from the Royal Rumble. I would believe that it would probably be mostly Dominic, and then maybe Karrion Cross attacks him from behind or something. But I don't think this is over. I like that Ray has two different feuds going on at one time. It finally feels like he's a big deal in this company, as he should be. All right, our boy Austin Theory, he pops up on SmackDown for literally no reason. Triple H did an interview with ESPN talking about giving Austin Theory his name back. And essentially he said that if Stone Cold Steve Austin and Austin Theory confuse you, then we're dealing with the wrong end of the problem, which is basically it's a you problem, not a them problem. And I say AEW has like 4 Adams, and it's confusing as hell. Adam Page, Adam Cole. Well, there's 2 pages unrelated. There's 3 or 4 Adams. It's 2 cages. It's nonsense, but I get it. If you don't understand it, if you are, missing out on it, then that's a you problem. Plus, I don't like the idea of just Theory. I would have preferred for them to just change his first name, because I actually do agree that maybe we shouldn't have a bunch of Austins running around. But okay, if you didn't want to change his name to like Jack Theory or John Theory or whatever, Maxwell Jacob Theory or whatever the hell, then okay, give him his Austin Theory name back, because that's what he was in the Independents anyway. All right, fine. Anyway, he was on SmackDown for literally nothing. He just did the champ is here, and he was interrupted by the New Day. Kofi Kingston then says there's only 3 Austins that he respects. 1 is Stone Cold Steve Austin. 2 is Austin Creed, which is Xavier Woods. And 3 is Austin, Texas, where he lives. Then Xavier Woods says that SmackDown is the efficient show because it's only 2 hours. And then they talked about winning the Royal Rumble because if one wins, then they both win. Austin Theory says he's the biggest star in the WWE. Very generic promo. Out comes The Miz, who says that he's been in Rumble since before Austin Theory hit puberty, which Austin Theory called him old, which kind of... that was funny. Anyway, The Miz said that he was older, wiser, and better than Austin Theory. He fumbled his lines at some point, but then actually kind of caught himself back up because he was smiling. He's, everybody's chill now. Anyway, Austin Theory and The Miz ended up jumping New Day. And then Lashley came up there to beat up everybody and said that he's going to terrorize everybody until he gets what he deserves. At that point, Brock Lesnar appears unannounced. His music didn't even play, and he attacked Lashley with an F5 and announced that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble match and that he's going to see Lashley there. Bruh, let me tell you how cool that was. Now, the Austin Theory, New Day, Miz, you can chuck all that in the bin. None of that mattered. The important stuff here is that Lashley came down there to put the beats on all of these guys and says that it's Brock's fault that he's not the United States champion. And until Brock Lesnar reappears, he's going to decimate everybody. Then Brock Lesnar immediately appears. Like he jumped from the crowd. And I like the fact that they did it without the music. Like, yes, you could have gotten the pop, but you also would have startled Lashley. He would have had to turn around and, see all that stuff. It affected the pop, of course, because it took a while for people to be like, what's going on? But that's the good part. The guy hopped the barricade, got in the ring quick, dropped Lashley before Lashley knew it, before they knew it. And it happened fast. And people was like, oh, it was like a build where people were like, oh shit, bro, oh shit. And, then he gave you the Royal Rumble thing. So it was great. It was fun. Brock being in the Rumble, good. I like that. I don't have a problem with that at all. So this ought to be fun. I love that they're doing multiple angles for the Royal Rumble. Look, none of these guys are Brock's not going to win. Lashley's not going to win. Sami Zayn's not going to win. But there's enough angles going through this Royal Rumble match that there's going to be intrigue for every entrance. And that ought to be pretty good. Second match on the show, Lacey Evans, with her fourth theme in 2 years, defeats Jasmine Allure, who I think I've seen before, but not sure where. Anyway, again, like I said, this is Lacey Evans' fourth theme in 2 years. Whenever people are like, and look, I know some people are like, Lacey Evans got no reaction. It's like they changed her theme song again. Like, this is, how are they supposed to react when they don't know who it is? So then when she finally comes out, she starts getting a little bit of a reaction. It took a while, but Lacey is an effective heel. Some people were very upset about her fake high-fiving some child, and that really bothered somebody. I'm like, she's a heel? Like, I know that we kind of far off of being a bad guy in wrestling today, but come on. Are we really bitching about that? That's nutty. Come on. Let's not do that. All right. Anyway, there was actually a collar and elbow tie up in this match. Gotta give them credit for that. There was an interesting little tumbling routine that these two did that I thought was interesting too. Lacey's boot came apart and she was going to hit Jasmine Allure with her boot, with the bottom part of her boot. So like, I think like the heel of her boot maybe had come off. And she was going to hit Jasmine Allure with it. The referee smartly took it from her. So I'm like, okay. She does the woman's right, which leads to a Cobra Clutch. Now, the Cobra Clutch people have criticized her usage of the Cobra Clutch. I criticized her execution of the Cobra Clutch. It didn't look very good. Okay, it didn't look good. It didn't look like she spent months and months and months training on this. It didn't. It was on. Let's put it like that. It was there, but maybe she should twerk it a little bit to make it look like the $1 Million Dream, which is the same move, but whatever. Lacey Evans gets on the microphone afterwards, says that the Cobra Clutch is unbreakable and that she's going to win the Royal Rumble. She then demands that the audience gets on their feet to salute her, which of course they do not. Instead, they boo her, which is the right thing. Lacey Evans is still a very effective heel, despite the fact that people don't like her, which is good. Like, she's a heel, but she manages to actually work her character very well. So Lacey Evans is hated by everybody, which is good. The match was meh. It was supposed to be a squash match, but it went on a little long. Like I said earlier, this is the only women's match on the show. So how about that? Moving on. Sheamus and McIntyre were backstage slapping each other in the chest. Sheamus having a birthday again near the Royal Rumble. And Drew McIntyre says that he's betting on Sheamus, but Sheamus is betting on Drew. And they start fighting each other over it. Apparently, these two were called the Banger Bros. Never officially. You know, there was never any official name of them being the Banger Bros. Were they ever announced as the Banger Bros? Ever. So when you see these stories like WWE drops the name Banger Bros, as you know, there's a porn company called Bang Bros. And I'm thinking to myself, when were they ever called the Banger Bros? Like, when were they ever called that? Maybe you guys remember and I don't. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. But it's always been Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. They came out to separate theme songs and everything. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus were supposed to wrestle Hit Row for the SmackDown Tag Team Title Tournament. Then they were attacked by the Viking Raiders pre-match. They were destroyed by the Viking Raiders. It was a pretty good attack. During commercial, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus actually marched off to try to fight the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders apparently live on the moon because McIntyre and Sheamus did not come back. Adam Pearce came out there and said that essentially Sheamus and Drew McIntyre forfeited their spot, which is an interesting way of getting them out of the tournament without losing. And then they had to be replaced. And I was like, wait a minute. If you forfeit, then Hit Row just goes to the finals. That's just kind of how it works. But no, Adam Pearce says, no, we're going to put in a replacement team. And the replacement team was Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Look, these people love Braun Strowman. It doesn't matter when he goes out there. Braun Strowman gets huge reactions. People are almost always standing by the end of his matches. These people love them some Braun Strowman. They really do. And I'm not mad at him. Braun rules. Okay. Ricochet, okay. He's not doing anything else. Now they did have, it's amazing to me that after they had their little Twitter spat, where Braun Strowman was talking about small guys and all that kind of stuff, that Triple H's idea to fix this was to force him in a tag team. First of all, was force him to lose to Ricochet. The second was to force him to tag team with Ricochet. So he's just going to pal around with Ricochet for like the rest of the goddamn year, apparently. And this is the most over Ricochet's ever been. So it's fine. Credit to my boy Top Dollar. He sucks in the ring. He sucks as a rapper. He sucks as a promo. But he's slimming down. I got to give him credit. He is doing a good job of, losing some of that bulk. Unfortunately, it's not helping his mobility. His knees are still older than the rest of his body. If you ever seen Top Dollar take a bump, I'm telling you, them knees are old. I don't know how old he is, but them knees is ready for Medicare. I'm telling you that right now. Them knees are on Social Security. And I know he played football, and maybe that's why he doesn't play football anymore. But them knees are old, brother. He's walking around that joint with Hogan's knees. It's not good. His mobility sucks. And it's a shame. Again, they should just transform him into a character. Maybe he shouldn't wrestle that often because his mobility is not good. It's not as bad as Matt Hardy, but it's getting there. I'm just kind of like, ooh, it's almost like Ernie Ladd, almost. Like if you ever watched Ernie Ladd wrestle, his knees weren't very good. Top Dollar's knees are almost there already. Anyway, Braun wins the match with the Beast Bomb or the Monster Bomb, which is essentially Undertaker's last ride, which it's fitting. Braun Strowman kind of lives a similar lifestyle to Undertaker. They both kind of, I think they ride Harleys and all that kind of stuff. So him being the guy who kind of inherits that power bomb was pretty cool. Also, this was a good storyline match because Ricochet has beef with Top Dollar. So this works out fine. I didn't hate this. It's kind of weird that we would put a replacement babyface team in here, and then the replacement babyface team didn't have to qualify or anything like that, and they already in the finals. That's kind of screwy. But other than that, I don't have a problem with it. The other tag team tournament match was Legado del Fantasma being defeated by Imperium. This was legitimately very good. It was a fun match. The bench press or the gorilla press from the top rope by Giovanni Vinci was incredible. I'm not sure if he legitimately hurt his knee or not, but he started selling the knee right afterwards. And but it was still an incredible spot. Zelina Vega also looked very scrumptious tonight. Ugh. She looked good. Anyway, you look good. Like a bacon and egg sandwich, you look good. Anyway, somebody's going to catch that. Anyway, that match was fine. So the finals is now going to be Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus Imperium, which of course now has more storyline elements as Braun Strowman has beef with Imperium. Okay. And so does Ricochet to a degree because of Gunther repeating him for the Intercontinental Championship. So this works. From a storyline element, the tournament works. It was, again, kind of screwy that you would have, a babyface tag team leapfrog their way in, but okay. I definitely think Gunther is probably going to be involved with this somehow. I thought Gunther was going to get involved with this match, with the Legado del Fantasma match, leading to Santos Escobar and Gunther, but apparently not. That sucks, but what can you do? I guess we'll have to see. There was a bunch of promos for the Royal Rumble match, but they were only women's promos, and they were done in like 30 seconds. So we get to Damage Control essentially said there's 3 of them, and it's gonna be 3 against everybody, but it's every woman for themselves, so that didn't really do them any good. Rhea Ripley cut a promo. She still looks like Crush. I don't know why, but you would think she was the favorite going into the Royal Rumble, but she was limited to the same amount of time as everybody else when it comes to cutting network exclusive promo. It was like 30 seconds. And then we also got Xia Li, who cut a promo claiming that she was the more skilled opponent than anybody in the Royal Rumble, and nobody can stop her. I'm surprised she's even in it. I'm surprised if they remember she works there. She's probably going to have another theme song and another gimmick, and none of that's going to work. Okay, so that was pretty much it from the Women's Royal Rumble. They didn't know Liv Morgan. No. Liv Morgan, who you would think would be one of the top 2 contenders to win the Women's Royal Rumble, not there. Apparently, Ronda Rousey will not be in the Women's Royal Rumble either. Not really pressed about that one. Don't really care, actually. That Women's Royal Rumble, boy, they are really underplaying that joint. They are really underplaying the Women's Royal Rumble. Okay, whatever. Charlotte and Sonya Deville, they're going to have a match next week on SmackDown for the women's title. I saw the dirt sheet saying that match is going to get added to the Royal Rumble show. I looked at the Royal Rumble show and said they're probably not going to add much of anything. 5 matches seem to be enough. The Royal Rumble matches are going to be an hour apiece. That's 2 hours. And they're going to be separated by 3 singles matches or whatever. Then that seemed, and a bunch of segments and stuff like that. So that seemed to be set. Sonya Deville getting another title shot after she was mollywopped not just by Charlotte but also by Bianca Belair on SmackDown is dumb booking. Sonya Deville getting another title shot is dumb. All right, it's dumb, and it tells me that the SmackDown Women's Division, despite the fact that they have Charlotte again, they still have no direction. This SmackDown Women's Division is a tragedy. It is terrible. Everybody has disappeared. Like, Charlotte came back, and now the division is completely clear. No Liv Morgan, no Shotzi, no Raquel. Aaliyah's injured. Xia Li's not doing anything. Damage Control didn't even come out there. There's nobody on SmackDown. It's just Charlotte. And look, as much as I love Sonya Deville, they're not treating her right. They're fucking Sonya Deville over. So I have no idea what the path for WrestleMania is for this SmackDown women's title. I'm at the point where I'm saying, like, we might as well just have one women's champion. You need to just let Bianca go on a Roman Reigns run with this title. She's been champion for 300 days. Her run has not been great. I will say that. Look, everybody knows I love me some Bianca Belair, and I was one of her biggest boosters before she got the huge push. Go back in the archives. You could tell. The only thing that I've ever said negative about Bianca Belair is that I don't think her promos were really there yet. And she still kind of has, issues with promos, but everything else is perfect. But the booking, since Triple H just took it over, has not been good. And that's despite the fact that she's been champion 300 days. People kind of rolled their eyes at that, like, yeah, right. Because it's like, it hasn't been about her since she won the title, And since the whole Damage Control thing happened, since, she beat Becky, it's been over. It's been Damage Control up the wazoo. And now it's about Alexa Bliss and all of the kooky and crazy stuff that she wants to do. But as off the rails as Raw is, it ain't like SmackDown. SmackDown is terrible. All right. When it comes to the women's division, SmackDown is bad. It's not good. Bad, not good. Anyway, moving on. Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. So this is going to be the last thing I talk about, apparently, because it's the last thing on my sheet. So LA Knight comes out dressed as Bray Wyatt, which was great because he came out to the original Wyatt theme, which got everybody super excited because everybody was like, oh shit, the Eater of Worlds is back. And then LA Knight comes out and he looks like Waylon Mercy. So of course he's wearing the Hawaiian shirt with the hat. He tosses the hat, rips off the shirt, then starts talking about how the biggest moment in Raw history happened on Raw 30. And he heard the people chanting, talk to us, talk to us, talk to us, even though I don't think they were. Then he says that Wyatt's got 24 hours to bring all of the advice Undertaker gave him to be the best version of himself. And he's going to still end up like that shirt, like that hat, scattered all over the ring. Yeah, Uh, I love LA Knight. That guy rules. And the crowd is now completely behind him. They're doing a yeah when he does it. They're doing a let me talk to you when he does it. It's excellent. You know, this guy rules. This guy's very good. So Bray Wyatt pops up. He's in the rocking chair again. He says that LA Knight is good for jokes, but they both know that LA Knight isn't smiling on the inside. And that at the Royal Rumble, he's finally going to meet the man that he's been looking for. And he says that when the lights go out, LA Knight will see. And then we see Uncle Howdy up on the balcony or whatever. The Uncle Howdy thing, I'm not too big of a fan of. I'm, to be quite honest, not huge on the Uncle Howdy thing. You know, some of the teasing was good. The White Rabbit stuff was good. It led to the Bray Wyatt return. That all has been good. But, you know, the Uncle Howdy thing, I'm not sure what Uncle Howdy is supposed to be. I'm not sure if it's an inner demon to Bray Wyatt. I'm not sure if it's a physical other person to Bray Wyatt. Look, we saw Uncle Howdy come out and attack Bray Wyatt. So we know that it's at least a separate person. But we don't know what's going on. And they still haven't really built too much on the Uncle Howdy Bray Wyatt thing. You know, it seemed like people forgot that Uncle Howdy attacked Bray Wyatt. Like, that seems to have gone completely forgotten in this entire storyline. It's just been Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt playing mind games with LA Knight. And LA Knight being a straight shooter is getting people, you know, involved in this thing. But there's a lot of people who, once again, they hate Bray Wyatt and they can't stand him because, you know, it's all smoke and mirrors and it's all theater. And I like smoke and mirrors and I like theater and I like Bray Wyatt, you know. So I like both of these guys for different reasons. I'm flexible in that way. So I don't hate this. I want some type of, we need to do something with the Uncle Howdy thing. We need to do something because he's involved in two different angles. He's involved with Alexa Bliss. He's also involved with LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. We need to figure out what he's doing and what his role is so that these two stories are linked together or taken apart, however it's going to happen. That's my only issue with this. But I've been having fun with the LA Knight Bray Wyatt thing. And I like that people are starting to get behind LA Knight and actually think that he's better than Bray Wyatt. That's what a good feud does. Bray Wyatt is helping to elevate LA Knight, you know, and he's doing so without diminishing himself. He's still doing what he does, but he's allowing LA Knight to do what he does too. So it's a platform for both of them. And if you're a fan of either one, you can appreciate both in this scenario. Now, to end this video, we're going to talk about Bray Wyatt and his interview with Ryan Satin, where he essentially says that the Fiend character is dead and died at WrestleMania and will not be returning. He also said that the OG Bray Wyatt character, the cult leader, the Eater of Worlds, will also not be returning. But that version of the character will not be returning because of Luke Harper, Brody Lee. He feels like that's a necessary component of that character and it probably just not good for his mental health, if we're being honest, for him to portray that character and not have Brody Lee or Luke Harper at his side. So I understand that. But the Fiend being dead, even though he says that, I'm not sure that the Fiend is really dead. But he did say that the plan that him and Triple H have come up with is going to go in a different direction, and said that he wants it to be brutal. And I'm extremely interested in that. And to have Bray Wyatt's in-ring re-debut at the Royal Rumble is going to be huge. You know, considering he, has been back since June. They have decided to wait like 6 months for him to return. Has it been June? Or was it July? It was something like that. But they waited 6 months for him to have his first in-ring match on TV. That's a long time. That is a long time to build up to an opponent. And you know what? I got to give him, there's some credit and some criticism when it comes to that. The credit is that he has still been on TV. He's still been doing things and adding different characters to the story, like LA Knight and Alexa Bliss have kept it interesting to a degree. The criticism is, of course, it's 6 months without him having a match, which means that he went a long stretch of time without even having an opponent, which is just facts, you know. So he was basically just talking to the audience for a little while, or talking to his inner demons and stuff like that, which, you know, kind of threw a lot of people off. But now he has somebody to actually interact with, and that has made things a lot better. So I'm actually interested in this new iteration of Bray Wyatt and what they're going to do. And I'm looking forward to the big pitch black match and what the hell that's going to be. Because if WWE is good at anything, it's marketing and promotions. So they're marketing the hell out of this pitch black match. They even got LA Knight doing commercials for it. So it ought to be fun, one way or the other. And I don't think it'll hurt LA Knight at all either. My question would be, considering I expect the pitch black match to happen before the men's Royal Rumble, will Bray Wyatt or LA Knight be in the Royal Rumble? And I'm guessing probably not. And I think not having LA Knight in the Royal Rumble that sucks. But if he's going to get like put in a casket and eaten by a giant monster or something like that, then maybe he shouldn't be in the Royal Rumble. You know, maybe he shouldn't be there. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out and enjoy the Royal Rumble.